Hello?
Hello? I'm trying to call the sea.
This is the sea.
Are you there?
Barry? Can you hear me now?
Hello? Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cruising Authority featuring the brilliance of the seas on a trip out of Dubai. I arrived into Dubai the night before our cruise was to depart, and I flew separately from my co-host, Mr. Diggle. The limo picked me up and took me to the Royal Falcon Hotel. The next morning, I was awakened by the sounds of prayers being broadcast over loudspeakers throughout the city. I could see my ship in the distance, Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas. The limo, a great car and driver from Dubai Exotic Limos, picked me up at the hotel and took me to the airport again so I could greet my co-host for this show, Mr. Diggle.
Yeah, it was, so I got off the plane, it was like 17 hours, and I walked through the terminal, and then there's Barry standing right there. And let me tell you, we went outside, and I see all these cabs lined up, and then I see this large stretch limo, and Barry goes, "That's our ride." And then, this guy, he really knows how to travel.
On our way to the cruise ship terminal, I saw an old friend docked quietly nearby and asked our limo driver to make a quick stop at the QE2 before making our way over to the Brilliance of the Seas. I used to work on the QE2 back in 1992, and have followed the ship's history since I first became interested in ships in the late 70s. It was amazing to see QE2 again, and I noticed the current owners seem to be taking very good care of the ship as she is docked in Dubai with somewhat of an uncertain future. Boarding the Brilliance of the Seas was a smooth process, and we were quickly on board. Entering the atrium was very familiar in Royal Caribbean fashion and was like coming home. We had an evening departure, and the sunset over the Arabian sky was beautiful. I was very impressed with the United Arab Emirates city of Dubai and the incredible skyline, especially at sunset. The lights from the city twinkled, and there was a full moon glowing off on the horizon.
Yeah, so I've been in the cruise industry for a number of years, and I've been on many ships, and I've been watching Barry's show and seeing his commentary and following him, and it's been fascinating. And just recently, Barry asked me if I would kind of be a co-host and go along with him, and now, I jumped at the opportunity just to kind of see a behind the scenes of what it's like for a journalist to sail on board a wonderful sailing like the Dubai sailing on the Brilliance of the Seas.
We're in the doctor's office on board the Brilliance of the Seas, and I'm here with the doctor. Doctor, what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Elsa Khan. I'm originally from Hong Kong, but I live in Australia these days.
Now, when you're not working on the ships, do you have patients back home?
Yeah, I'm on board generally about 4 to 6 months at a time, and then after I finish my contract, then I go home for generally about a 2 months vacation. Sometimes I do pick up some shifts in the emergency room. Yeah, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Well, now, when a passenger has some sort of symptoms, they come to the doctor's office and they come through a reception area on deck 2, and then they talk to the receptionist, and we're in your office right now, but you have a number of rooms. This is like a miniature hospital on board the Brilliance of the Seas. Tell us about some of the rooms that you have.
Yes, it is actually not That's more. And because exactly as you said, first when the guests come down to us, they come through the waiting area and then reception. And then if it is an ambulatory consultation, then the patients get to see one of the doctors. We have 2 doctors on board in the rooms. However, for more severe cases, sometimes we have to admit the patient to a ward for treatment. So besides those rooms we've mentioned, we have a pharmacy, we have an emergency room, and we have a couple of wards so we can admit the patient to. We also have a laboratory. We can perform some lab tests.
That really is fascinating. It's very comforting, I think, to know that you have such a full service facility here. Can you show us one thing? This is unfortunately a fact of life, is that when you have a city at sea like this, occasionally people will die. Do you have a morgue on board, and what are the preparations that you do, or what's the procedures that you go through when that happens?
Okay. Yes, we do actually have a morgue on board. So in the unfortunate circumstances, we do have a death on board. Then first of all, the nursing staff will prepare the body, and then we will put the body in a plastic bag, and then everything prepared, and then we'll have to ask the engineers to switch on the morgue for us, because normally it's not switched on. So they will turn the electricity on for us, and then when it's ready, then we can transfer the body into the morgue until we can land the body. Normally is in the next port, of course.
Can you show us the morgue?
Yes, sure. I can take you through.
So this is the morgue here, and you also have, it looks like you have oxygen tanks if needed.
That's correct. This is also act as a storage area for all our oxygen supply on board. So as you see, we have about 16 to 18 big cylinders of oxygen. And then this is also the morgue area. So we actually have 3 spaces. So the maximum capacity here will be 3 bodies.
Doctor, thank you again for showing us your hospital, and thank you for being on Cruising Authority.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Really quick, I want to tell you about Cruises Only at cruisesonly.com. They're the world's largest cruise-only agency and get the best amenities, discounts, and upgrades available. So contact Cruises Only at cruisesonly.com or 1-800-CRUISES.
This is Doug Diggle reporting for Cruising Authority at cruisetalkshow.com. Today we are in Muscat, Oman, and we've been hiking around the port and looking at some of the world's largest mega yacht, which is here, and looking at some of the famous landmarks. Behind us here is another mosque. Barry and I hiked about 6 miles to get up to the top, and a couple other wonderful landmarks. We hope you enjoy the show, and stay tuned.
We're docked in Muscat, Oman, and Doug and I climbed up to the top of this hill where there's this big castle-like fortress. And in fact, we heard that years ago it used to be a prison, but now it looks like it's somebody's home. But this is Muscat, Oman, here behind me. It's quite a view up here. Wish you were here. It truly felt like an adventure as we hiked around the city of Muscat, Oman. The brilliance of the seas was docked here for 2 days, giving us great opportunities to explore the city. One particularly fascinating place we visited was the marketplace, or the local shopping mall, which was so intriguing because it felt so ancient, like this was the way it's been for hundreds of years. It was a labyrinth of passageways. There were no windows, and you could smell the burning incense, herbs, oils, and exotic spices that were being sold. Most of the shop workers were from India, which was a surprise to me. In fact, the majority of trinkets, fabrics, and products were from India. Back on the ship, on our 3rd night, they were having the Arabian White Party. So Doug and I had to make sure we dressed the part. We tried out a few different options for our Arabian headgear and finally decided on a more traditional look. Does this come any bigger?
No, this is last bigger.
That's the biggest one you got.
Last bigger.
Okay, now let me put the glasses on and see how this looks. Do I look like an Arab? How do I look?
You look great.
That night we put on our Arabian headgear and headed up onto deck. to enjoy the Arabian White Party with a band playing, ice sculptures. Some hung out under an Arabian tent, sitting on pillows, smoking a bong device. It was a pretty wild party.
All right, what's your name, sir?
My name is Dave from England.
Okay, and what do you think of this Arabian night on the brilliance of the seas?
It is excellent. It's a good day out, or good evening out, and everyone seems to be having a lot of fun.
It looks like you're getting high there on that.
Oh yeah, we've got to be a little bit high, haven't we, guys? Yeah!
Well, thanks for joining us here at Cruising Authority at cruisetalkshow.com, and today I'm with Mr. Douglas Diggle with Across Oceans Group. It's great to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be on the show, Barry.
Now tell me a little bit about Across Oceans Group. What do you specialize in doing?
Well, we're a firm based in Miami, Florida, and we specialize in providing senior-level business and maritime consulting for tour, travel industries, hospitality, and helping them prevail in these spaces.
Tell our listeners here and viewers, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, there's several ways. The best way is just go to acrossoceansgroup.com, and you can email us, you can write us a message through there, or you can even email me directly at douglas.diggle, that's D-I-G-G-L-E, at acrossoceansgroup.com.
Mr. Diggle, thank you for being on Cruising Authority.
Thank you, Barry. It's always a pleasure.
Don't miss part 2 of our series featuring our cruise to Dubai aboard Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas. On the next show, we will interview the food and beverage manager, the cruise director, and see an amazing mosque in Abu Dhabi. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, visit us, and like us on Facebook. Look up Cruising Authority. You've been watching Cruising Authority at cruisetalkshow.com. This is the first episode in a series of 3 shows featuring the brilliance of the seas. Don't miss episodes 2 and 3. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, I want to wish you smooth seas.